say it all the time, I find it a bit comical that we'll get details and leaks on Call of Duty titles so far out every single year. While we have Black Ops 7 upcoming in just about 2 months' time with a multiplayer reveal coming later this month, we've actually heard more recently about the title after that, an Infinity Ward project that is all but confirmed to be Modern Warfare 4. Today we're running down some new information and what it means for the project to expect next year for those already looking forward to what's after a second year of Black Ops. Drop your thoughts, drop a like, and make sure to subscribe to stay up to date with all things FPS content, Modern Warfare 4, Battlefield 6 upcoming, Black Ops 7, Arc Raiders. We've got a really busy fall, and if you'd like to join the community, I'd love to have you. But for now, let's get into it. So today's details come from Reality UK, someone whose track record has been solid on COD details ahead of schedule. But frankly, some people to these things were like, surely you have to be rage baiting, right? But from what it appears, it doesn't seem to be the case. Now to preface, before leaking anything, he set the tone with the following message. Modern Warfare 4, in its current state, is just as terrible as Modern Warfare 2, provided it's still a year out, but yeah. By far the most stubborn developers known to mankind. I'll probably still end up leaking the game, but chances are this will be the first COD game I actually don't play in about a decade. Now, that's not exactly what you want to hear, right? Got me worried for what was to come, and some of it, not necessarily bad. Other parts, it's more of a like, how many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man? That type of scenario. So I guess let's just look at the follow-ups here. Let's start out with the stuff that I don't think is all that bad that Reality leaked. Apparently, red dots are currently going to be back within Modern Warfare 4. That being something that, as stupid as that sounds, that hasn't been a staple for Infinity Ward titles the last couple of years. So it's nice to see that is apparently returning. Also, no Omni movement is apparently in the game as of the builds currently being tested right now, which may be for some people, may be good for some, maybe not for others. While I don't personally mind Omni movement like at all really, it's just kind of there for me. It was something that looking at this past year of Black Ops 6, a lot of people had a negative connotation with it. They would have preferred that it was not the case, and so that is something that doesn't appear to be in next year's title right now. And it was rumored for quite some time that an unnamed mechanic set was something that Infinity Ward was resistant to, and this was like something we talked about almost like a year ago at this point, and it seems like that matches up where Omni movement was that thing that they didn't want to work with. Then, slide canceling also is apparently returning, so that's something that from 2019, Sledgehammer's correction and take with Modern Warfare 3, that's now apparently going to be returning, but that's the stuff that I think isn't all that bad. Now, a middle of the ground thing here at this, you may like it, you may not. It apparently does have tactical sprint on by default currently. Whether or not there's a perk like a slipstream that we have in Black Ops 6 that allows you to toggle that off, or if they end up going the route of Black Ops 7 where it's off by default and changing somewhere in development, we don't quite know. But apparently that is there in the build right now. And it'll also apparently have doors. That's something that upcoming this year, I feel like I remember hearing somewhere that that's not going to be the case, but doors, of course, being something that since 2019 has been a hit or miss issue with some people. Like, it breaks cameras, it can give some outplay maneuvers if you're a movement demon and stuff like that, but ultimately for the grand scheme of like multiplayer, it's not something that to me is a make or break thing, but some people just don't like them, which is fine. And then finally, the not so great stuff is on a smaller scale, there apparently is no dedicated melee weapon slot as the build right now. And the bigger issue is that visual recoil for weapons is apparently on par with Modern Warfare 2 weapons. Now, for those that don't know exactly what that means, it's not necessarily like weapons won't have recoil. Like, that's obviously been something we've had stable recoil patterns since Black Ops 4. That each weapon has a set, defined, and predictable weapon pattern that you can study and learn and master. But visual recoil is the amount of shake when you're aiming down sight and the amount of like bounce you'll see in that animation, making it sometimes very hard to keep your visual on your target where you're shooting. And obviously, in a game that is built around first-person shooter mechanics, you obviously want to have that stability here with it. So for that to be returning is not necessarily the best news. Now, of course, things are subject to change. We have to bear in mind that we're still a year away almost from a reveal. Like, worst case for COD, Black Ops 7 is an absolute flop, and they try to move on to the next thing as soon as possible. And honestly, with it being a generational shift, as it has been every rotation to an Infinity Ward game since 2019, I think regardless of performance, whether it sells like hotcakes or it's something that is a flop, I think they're going to do that either way. They're going to by May or June try to reveal the game to draw as much attention for as long as possible for this upcoming game, this next generation in the franchise. Though honestly, I'd kind of wager more of like a June reveal rather than a late May, just simply because I mean, May is that elephant in the room, GTA 6. That is going to dominate the gaming space, and honestly, almost all of like mainstream media probably for at least a month, I'd say. So all eyes are going to be on that, probably exclusively for that span of time. So I'd say a June reveal is more likely. But besides even reveals, you still have a year plus of development time, and fingers crossed, feedback to be accounted for. At this point in development, it is still very much so a matter of they test multiple builds out to see what works what way. I mean, hell, for recent context, I played Verdansk early in like late December or early January, maybe mid-January, I forget off the top of my head. And that map launched with Season 3. So like 2 months time or so before that launch, and in that early play session where I was actually testing it, wasn't capturing it, there was like 3 to 4 different versions of subtle mechanic differences that we tested out. So to have a year plus of seeing what works what way, there's for sure time for changes to be made. Now, maybe the recent reception is heard on those leaks and taken into consideration, but honestly, who knows? But those are interesting, I guess. It's a curious state of where we're at with this rumor here, because some of this does sound promising, others not so much. Like on one hand, it's nice that we have red dots, a core staple of the game since its inception in the franchise, basically, that is finally not up for debate in an Infinity Ward title. Like, I'm not saying it's nice to have the bare minimum, but like, it's nice that we don't have to potentially have that fight pre-launch of like, why the hell is there no red dots on the minimap? Modern Warfare 2019, it was a glaring issue from the very time that I picked it up in May of 2019, early, and everybody at the studio was like, yeah, people aren't gonna like this. I had a close friend's wedding in 2022 where I missed the early Modern Warfare 2 preview, but from everyone that I knew there, they said in that play session early, they were like, oh, hell yeah, you guys put it in this time. To which devs were like, oh, that's actually a bug. That's not supposed to be there. So to me, it's kind of crazy it's taken that long to make them a default again in their titles. But at the same time, things like that visual recoil was one of the largest issues with gunplay in Modern Warfare 2. So to have that back and double down on is a choice. I get that Infinity Ward are the animation guys and they want that realistic approach to weaponry, but also like, it's a game, man. Visualization of your target is a massive part of that gameplay. I'd like to see where I'm shooting. And then things like no dedicated melee weapon slot. Truthfully, I see no reason to not keep that. It's like a harmless addition, I think, to the gameplay loop. And honestly, otherwise, you're limiting yourself if you have to consciously take a knife, you're doing camo challenges or whatever the case here. I also really like that for the camo grind because I could work on secondaries and a launcher and or melee at the same time, not requiring a perk or wild card to get a sort of underkill feeling to take 2 secondary weapons. So all of that is rather interesting, and then you mix it in with the other mixed bag of information for things like DMZ. The stuff we've heard out of that, I'm actually pretty excited for in terms of that. The narrative doesn't seem half bad either, dealing with the fallout of Modern Warfare 3. And again, DMZ offering up things like maybe PvPvE or potentially both PvE element as well, with more maps, dedicated maps that aren't pulled from the Warzone map, a headquarters and social area to play around with, major updates every couple of seasons here, dynamic weather, new infill sequences, new POIs that have even higher difficulty and higher loot rewards, a 3D printer and crafting sequence that you can end up making things on the fly. All of that sounds actually pretty cool, but like when you mix it in with the context of some of these multiplayer leaks, it's interesting. So obviously right now we are still a long ways away from what we end up seeing as the official confirmation for any of this stuff, but if preliminary reports are to be believed, it's gonna be interesting. I don't quite know how to feel about half this kind of stuff, but wanted to talk about it this past week while we were away. This broke and I wasn't able to cover it, so just wanted to fill you guys in here as we had the time today going into the weekend. So that said, drop your thoughts down below. What do you guys think of these Modern Warfare 4 leaks potentially for next year's title? Like the sound of them? Not so much. Let me know, but if you guys enjoyed the video, you found it at all insightful, do me a favor, drop a like on it, and of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single thing running all things Modern Warfare 4, Battlefield 6, Black Ops 7, Arc Raiders, and a ton of other FPS content. I'd love to have in the community. But for now, thanks so much for watching. Mine's been Espresso. I'll see you later. Take care, and peace.